Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's morning for me. It may not be morning for you, wherever you are in the world. Hello, my darling. I hope you are well. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my YouTube channel. Say hello to me in the comments. Let me know where you are from. This is my YouTube channel, and I want to welcome you to my table. Whether you are folding laundry, trying to get kids sorted, feeling a bit under the weather and a bit down and a bit like life is a bit too hard. You're welcome here. You're in the right place. This space is for you in some of the most difficult moments, the most devastating moments, but also hopefully in some of the most positive moments of your life. Welcome to my table, my love. I know that you're busy juggling a million things, and I just want to say to you for the next 10 seconds, let's make this about you. Let's just focus on you for 10 seconds, shall we? Let's do our regular check-in. And nobody's talking to me, so that makes me nervous. I'm hoping that my YouTube is live. Hi there, let's try that. See if that works. Oh, there you go. Thank goodness. I was getting nervous that nobody was here. The numbers were dropping and I couldn't see people. So let's just spend the next 10 seconds on you. Big breath in. Come on out. So where are we today? In all of the days we come here, we want to check in with ourselves, see where we're at, how we're coping, how we're feeling. 0 to 10, my darling. 0 being, you know what, Debbie, this is one of the worst days. To 10, which is, hey, it is the best day ever. Let me know in the comments, where are you sitting 0 to 10? Where am I sitting today as I try and get my air conditioner on because I'm all of a sudden hot? Girls, you know what it's like when you're 60 years old and you just get warm for no apparent reason. Yes, I'm on HRT in case you're asking, but for no reason at all, sometimes I get really, really warm. So let's turn that on. Okay, so hello, my darlings, 5s and 6s. 5s and 6s. I think that I'm probably at a 7 or an 8 and have been consistently for about a week, which is always good, right? But yesterday was a bit tricky and it dropped a bit lower. So I want to talk about that today. So what I do here on the channel is I try and just share a little bit of my recent lived experience. And then we talk about that in terms of maybe where you're at and how you feel about something. And of course, you can ask me questions about pretty much anything. Keep it clean, keep it nice, keep it kind and respectful, but you can ask me about anything and I will do my very best to help you out with that. My name is Debbie Carberry. I am a university trained therapist. I also have an online membership where I help women around the world navigate life post-separation and deal with all of the things that come with that, you know, how your body changes midlife, how you feel about the relationships that you have. You know, you're struggling with things like boundaries, looking at the way your life might have changed dramatically as you move into midlife section. And of course, you are looking at relationships ending too. It's 7:30 p.m. here on February the 1st, and it is 11 a.m. here on February the 2nd. So look at us in completely different time zones saying hello. Hi, Stacey, it's good. And I'm glad to see that you found the channel because I know you were looking for it. Hey, Julie, I totally broke my body. Yikes, bodies. We're going to talk more about that. So let me tell you about what happened and see if you can relate to this. So do you ever get so frustrated about something that you end up wanting to cry or actually crying? Because yesterday I got so frustrated that I started to cry. I don't feel bad about that. It doesn't bother me. But I want to share what that was about and see if you can relate to it. So this weekend I was working on something and nothing terrible happened. It wasn't a bad thing, but I just felt really misunderstood and really stuck. I was trying to explain something, and every time I explained it, it just was more and more and more misunderstood. And I was getting really frustrated. I was like, why is this so hard? You know, why is it so difficult? I was trying to explain something, how I think about the world, how I see the world, and how the world makes sense to me. And I tried a ton of different ways of doing it, and it just kept falling flat. And I was getting more and more distressed. I was thinking, this seems so logical and like it makes a lot of sense to me. Why is it making sense to the other people? But whatever I said and however I tried to sort of maneuver around it, it didn't land. And I got to the point where I was thinking, why is this so hard? Like, it shouldn't be this hard. You know what I mean? But it didn't matter what I did. It just wasn't working. And I couldn't work out why. And as I do, I start to sort of reflecting on myself, going, okay, why is this so difficult? Why is this not landing for people when I think it makes perfect sense to me? And then I just realized that that's the way that I work things out. I work things out in a very specific kind of way. So I think quite deeply and I feel quite deeply, but I process things out loud. I say them out loud. I'm not internally trying to work it out and then say it. I tend to have the thoughts, the feelings and the thoughts, and then I process it by saying it out loud. And if you can relate, give me a frigging thumbs up and a love heart, because not everybody does it that way. Most of the people I know do it the opposite way. They think things through, they feel them internally, and then they order the information and then they share it with people. But I learned when I was a really little person to see the world in really vivid stories. So when a person gives me information, I create a whole story around that. And I'll share a story that happened yesterday to give you an example of it. But I see the world as a really vivid story. And I learned to do that as a little person. I learned to do that because I needed to, because the world was not particularly safe for me. So as a really little person, I would scan a room real fast. I could tell the mood of different people in the room. I could scan the tone of the room. I could scan reactions. And I did that really, really fast. Because as a little person, if I didn't do that fast, I was in trouble. I was in big trouble. I could get in dangerous situations because there were dangerous people around me. So if I was off, maybe the people weren't available to me. Maybe they misunderstood me. Maybe they were really unsafe people. And I had to notice that really fast as a little people. So my nervous system really tuned into that because it was a safety issue, right? It was like, I have to work this out really quickly. So I tuned that stuff in really fast. Check first, adjust fast, and stay alert. So when I go into a room of people now, I can tell you the stories of all of them without talking to them. It's a really finely tuned skill I've got because I had to, because it was like, at times it was life or death, like it really was. So for almost 2 decades of my life, I fine tuned that skill so that I'm good at it. So now as an adult, my system can be on a really, really high alert really quick. If I think something's wrong, if I think something is just a bit off, I think faster, I talk faster, I analyze really hard, and I try and find the gaps real quick because I'm highly attuned to it. And it's a curse and it's a gift. It's a gift when I work with all of you because you can tell me little snippets of your story and I can create the rest of it really, really fast in my mind. It's a curse because at the end of the day, that can be really overwhelming and really challenging. It can make my life feel like a bit of an emotional radar where I'm on this sort of scanny kind of thing. I know how to not do it, but it takes effort for me not to do it because it used to keep me safe. And so my mind has learned that that is a good skill and I need to hang on to it. But it's a bit maladaptive. It's a bit too much. And I've learned through my life to try and pull it in when I can. It makes sense to me, but it can make me feel to other people a bit intense. That intensity is my level of care, right? It's about this is how I show that. So I'm going to tell you a story and then I'm keen to just ask you how it shows, how this might show up for you. So first of all, I want to sort of say that old patterns show up for us in our daily life. We don't always notice that they're old patterns. I teach people how patterns link to today and how to change old patterns. I do that, right? And when your body experiences things and then it hits a boundary, then when bodies and boundaries collide, our mind and our body can really get overloaded. And usually what happens is boundaries slip. I've worked on that really hard across my lifespan. So I'll tell you the story about yesterday and how two different minds dealt with yesterday. So yesterday, one of the neighbors rang and said, "Oh, there seems to be a fire in front of your house." I was like, "Oh, what?" Sure enough, look out the window and there is smoke coming from the house across the street from us, from the yard, not from the actual building. And so this fire was getting bigger. It was noticeably getting bigger and everybody was getting, well, I say everybody, not everybody, but people were noticing. My partner's very different to me. My partner is very methodical, thinks through a situation, works it all out internally before he even begins to act. and he thinks about all of the possible outcomes. My neighbour and somebody was at their house. 2 guys ran down the street. My partner quickly followed, plus one other guy from further down the road. And they immediately went to the backyard where we could start now to hear the crackling of debris in the grass. It was definitely, we're dry here. It's summer in Australia. And it's dry, dry, dry. So the fire was taking a hold, and we are full of bushland. So if it had really caught, it would have. And at the end of my street is a one-way street. You can't get in or out. You have to come back up here to get out. And so those houses, if fire started moving down there, it would have been catastrophic. So the boys went down. When I say boys, they're men in their 50s and 60s, went down, and they vanished. We didn't see them again for about another, I don't know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, while we're waiting for the fire brigade to come. So I'm watching it and just going, wow, this looks like it's taking a hold. This is really concerning. I wonder if there's a safety issue. Has anybody called the police? The fire brigade, alerting some of the neighbours, that kind of thing. Anyway, it took about 15 minutes for the fire brigade to arrive. They came, they got their thing done, and down there went the hill. And sure enough, the boys had been able to hold back the spread of the fire and contain it quite well until the fire brigade arrived. And then they all just left and came home. And that was that. The men didn't talk about it. They didn't reflect on it. They didn't sort of debrief about it, nothing. Every man went back to his house, and I'm kind of going, wow. And about 2 hours later, my partner said to me, it's really strange. The neighbour whose house it was happening in was there, a man, and he had a small hose, and he was trying to contain the fire from one end, but the fire had really gone to the other end, and he had the small hose, which was really ineffective, and there was a swimming pool there too. And my partner's like, it's really strange she didn't thank us. It's really strange she didn't come and just say, oh, thanks so much for your help, or speak to us while we were doing it. And I walked away for about 10 seconds and came back and I said, oh, so, he's feeling really ashamed right now. He can't believe that he was so silly. He didn't think about containment, and he knows he should have. His peers have just recognized that he was incompetent, and he would just prefer not to deal with that. He's probably inside feeling quite numb, feeling really distressed about it, and feeling really shut down and feeling really awful. And my partner said, how do you know that? And I said, well, because that would be his response. He said, he would have been fight, flight, or freeze. It sounds like he froze. He didn't realize it was a swimming pool, and he could have used that water from that end of the house to actually, tap down the fire that end. He didn't think about it before suicide. So I'd completely enclosed the story of this man's experience and how distressed he was, given that I understand men, particularly men in that stage of life in their 40s to 60s, who want to feel like they're good at what they do and they're accomplished and that their peer group respects them. And so I made up this whole story, and my partner just thought it was the most funny thing in the whole world that I should make up this whole story based on an experience I didn't even have. And that's what I'm talking about. I see the world in pictures and stories. And from that, I then create a whole narrative for myself and for other people. It's hard to explain what that feels like inside of me, how to do that. But I know it's from an old pattern because I am aware of that, right? This is what I do for a living. I help people look at their patterns of behavior and start to, get awareness, acceptance, and action around those. I'm aware that I do this. I accept it without judgment. Yesterday when I was crying because I was frustrated, being kind to myself and saying to myself, it's okay. This is an old pattern of frustration, of not being understood and feeling like, why can't they understand me? So it's an old pattern for me. So with the compassion for myself and then action, what do I need to know about this? And that's when I started looking at why I do it and how I do it. And it helped me to really understand. So let me just ask you some questions then, okay? And before I do ask you some questions, let me do this first, because you're going to ask me some questions now, which will be good. So you can ask me questions anytime you want about anything in your life. But just to let you know, my name is Debbie Carberry. I am a university trained therapist. My YouTube page is about really helping women in midlife who are trying to navigate a lot of complex things. Your body has changed. You might struggle with boundaries. You might be trying to make meaning of your life post-separation and, trying to make meaning of your life generally. And so I want to help you with that. So that's what I do on my channel. I release videos every Tuesday and Friday, my time. And those videos are on specific topics that might be helpful to you. Last week I did estrangement and menopause. So if you want to have a look at those, go and have a look at them. If you can't find them, let me know in the comments. And on this channel, as I said, I'm trying to help women who are struggling with that. So if you're one of those women, welcome to my page. I'm really happy to have you here. If you are back and you've been here before, it's really good to see you. So here's my questions for you before we get in your questions for me. So my question for you is this. What in life makes you feel misunderstood? You know, what sort of things make you feel misunderstood, and how do you react to that? Maybe you shut down, maybe you just stop talking, maybe you do what I do, trying to explain it really harder, you know, trying to explain it harder. Maybe you really disappear, you know, maybe you kind of get smaller and smaller and smaller. Or maybe you start to be really self-critical, you know, what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Really attacking yourself. So just check in with yourself, you know, when you see old patterns coming up and you feel misunderstood, how do you react to that? The next question I want to ask you, and do let me know in the comments, I'm really keen to see what you say. How does your body react when you're struggling to be misunderstood? So what happens physiologically for you? You know, is it that tight little lump in the throat, or maybe in your chest? Maybe you talk faster. I used to talk so fast, and now I've learned how to slow my talking down quite a bit. Maybe you clench your jaw. You know, we don't notice we're clenching our jaw until we stop and just feel our jaw. And when you release your jaw, and a good way to release your jaw is just to stick your tongue on the roof of your mouth and just let your bottom part of your jaw just hang a bit. And then you'll notice that you're not clenching your jaw anymore. Or maybe you get that butterflies in the stomach, or that pit of the stomach drop. What happens to your body when you feel like you're struggling to be understood? And the next thing is, if you notice your body responses are really not what you need, you know, maybe you notice your body is doing things that are challenging, but trying to be understood because you want to feel safe, because you want to feel close to people. Maybe it's because you want the tension to stop. So noticing, why then is my body reacting like this? For me, when I was a little person, it was about being safe. It was about who in this room is dangerous to me as a little person, and how am I going to keep myself safe from that person? So that was what my skill was for back then. Today, my skill of trying to understand is to break the tension for me. It's to have the tension stop, because I feel tension when I feel misunderstood, and it changes, right? So it's just really important to know. So have a think about those questions. Let me know in the comments. I am always really interested to know how these land for you, if they're helpful for you or not, if you have specific questions around that or not. So let me know in the comments if you do. If you have a question about something completely different to that, I am really keen to answer your questions. And of course, I open up the floor now. If you've got a question you want to ask me, pop it into the comments. I'd love to hear what your questions are. And while I'm looking at that, I'm going to have a quick read through the other comments that were happening while I was going on and on and on about my story. And I was going to change my glasses, and I didn't. I kept my black ones on accidentally. Things happen, don't they? I like to wear my red ones when I'm not doing videos to match my lipstick. Should I change them? I didn't even notice. I wasn't even looking at the screen. This is me, self-obsessed. There you go. Let's swap them over. Oh, there you go. That changes everything, doesn't it, girls? I like when I'm wearing glasses when I'm videoing. All right. Hi to all the people who said hello. You've totally broken your body. That's not good. Tell me what has broken in your body specifically. You did my program and chats for 3.5 years ago, and I'm back after 3-year breakup. Well, you're always welcome back. So if you've ever worked with me and I've helped you through a crisis, and you've then gone on to sort of do other things, and then something else has happened, you're always welcome back at my table. So welcome back, Stacey. It's nice to see you, darling. It is finally February. It is February. Who's dreading Valentine's Day? Tell me if you are really looking forward to it, or you are really not looking forward to it, as it's coming up soon. I think deeply, I feel deeply, and I love deeply. Yep. And it can be a curse, right? To feel those things can be really challenging, really hard, really difficult sometimes to feel things at a really deep level. I think when people say to me, oh, I'm an empath and I feel really deeply, my response is generally, then you need more internal boundaries, because when we think deeply and we love deeply and we feel deeply, we need more boundaries to protect ourselves from the onslaught that can come from outside. So yeah, boundaries are really important. you're hypervigilant. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of us are. Hello, my darling Amy. Almost forgot to come and watch. Lovely to see you. As always, lovely to see you, Miss Amy. Really, really nice to see you. Frustrated, argumentative, repeat. Yeah, Mary. And I think when we argue, sometimes we're not arguing to win the argument. We're arguing so that the other person gets where we're coming from. And so I have learned across my lifetime that sometimes when I'm arguing with people, I need to hold on and just stop for a minute and check in with myself around, hang on a second. What's the purpose of my interaction with this person? What's the purpose of that? My glasses are dirty. Is it for me to be understood? Is it for me to understand them? Is it for me to show my point of view? What am I trying to do? What's the purpose of this discussion? Because once I understand the purpose, sometimes people disagree with us or see things from a different point of view. And I've learned across my lifetime that it's really important for me to stop for a minute and just listen to them. I don't have to agree, but listening can be really helpful, and notice that maybe they're not trying to change my mind. They're just trying to show me their worldview, and that takes the pressure and tension out of the situation. I either shut down or lash out, although I'm trying not to lash out. It's worked, but it means I shut down more. And Carol, when we're in that stage of noticing, awareness, I notice that I lash out. And then acceptance, and I'm compassionate with myself about that. That's an old skill set that I have, that I used because it used to work. But now I notice that it doesn't really get me the result that I want. So in this in-between phase, we can go back in and start doing things like shutting down, when what we want to do is really open ourselves up again. So that's the action. How do I notice that I'm getting into lashing out, and stay compassionate to myself whilst I learn the new skill set of being able to share without lashing out? And so it's a process. And so, yeah, we just have to practice that process. And if you ever want to bring that to a coaching call, I'm more than happy to answer it on one of the membership calls. So if you want to bring that question, it's a good one for me to try and help shift people from, hey, this is how it feels for me. How do I change that? So I'd really welcome that as a coaching call question, because I think it's a really helpful question for lots of people. For those who don't know, I run a membership. All right, so when I speak up, I'm always told that I'm not clear, even though I say the same thing that they do, just not using the exact wording. And I think when you say people say you're not clear, it's because they don't understand. That doesn't mean what you're saying isn't clear. It means they don't understand what you're saying. So in those moments, Sarah, what's really important is to have them tell you their understanding of what you're saying. Is saying to them, okay, tell me what you think I said. Now, the thing here isn't to correct them. It's to make sure that you're going, well, actually, that isn't what I meant. What I meant is this. And then saying to them, okay, what do you think I mean? And doing this to and fro, active listening is a really important skill. Again, Sarah, I'd encourage you to bring this to a coaching call. Is how do I learn to so it's saying to a person, hey, this is how it makes me feel, and then say, well, you're not clear, and then you go back and say the same thing. So if you want, on one of the coaching calls, I think there's one coming up this weekend, why don't we practice that? If you're coming to the call, we could practice it, and I can show you how to do that. And that will make it clearer for you to be able to express what you're saying and be able to understand whether the other person, get the other person to understand what you're saying. And that may help. Okay. Judy, I've got through the whole cycle. I tried to explain, but I now just shut down and disappear when in a group. Again, Judy, I think this happens a lot to women with white hair like me, that we get to an age where we think it's easier just to disappear. And I'm really going to encourage you not to do that. Part of our transition from being a woman who, is busy with kids and taking care of a family and taking care of a partner and taking care of our parents and blah, 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 blah. As we move through that cycle, we get to a stage of going, who am I in this story? Who am I in this world? And how do I matter? It's part of our developmental growth. And so we really don't want to shut down. What we want to do is find our way and our path as we grow older, and the wisdom that we bring. And practicing how to do that can feel really confronting, really challenging, really emotionally difficult. But if we don't, culture supports our disappearance, which is really shit. So it's really important for us to find our way of pushing through that. Really, really important. So um, we can see more of your face with my other glasses. I know, but I like these glasses. These ones are my favorite. Sorry, the list is so long with what is broken in my body. And okay, so let's do a little bit on that. So the list is so long about what is broken in my body. Means, okay, I can't do anything about it. If I can't create the list, I can't do anything about it. And generally speaking, we need to be able to name it before we can move through it, right? So, for example, I am 60 years old, lovely, right? I've gone through menopause now. I'm now taking HRT. I wasn't before, I am now, but I really find that incredibly helpful. I notice in my body so much, as many of us do. So, you girls who are going through perimenopause and menopause, you probably know what I'm talking about here. You have aches and pains, you can't sleep, you have hot flushes. There are dry parts of your body that were never dry. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe your skin is itchy. Maybe you've got some arthritis. Maybe you are gaining weight in places you never had weight before. Maybe it is more difficult to do things than you've ever done before. So when we look at our bodies and we say there are too many broken parts, if we are telling the story of that to ourselves, my body is broken, my body is broken, our body is then embodying brokenness. So what we need to do is come back to this beautiful, adorable, fantastic, delicious thing that we call our body and remind ourselves how amazing it is. I have birthed 4 humans through this body. I don't know how many kilometers or miles I have walked in this body. I don't know how many times I have held up humans in this body. I don't know how many times I've been on my knees in my garden in this body. I don't know how many times I have bent, stretched, leaned in this body. I don't know how many times I've laid flat and curled in a ball and cried in this body. Our bodies are freaking amazing. They're amazing. And I think we get to an age where we start to be at war with our bodies. And I think for women, all of our lifetimes, we can be at war with our bodies because culturally we're told to be, right? Be at war with it. But I think it's important for us to learn to love it in all of its delicious glory, in all of the ways that it served us, in all of the ways it's lit us up and excited us. I fed humans from this body. What a freaking feat that is. How amazing to be able to nourish another human from your body. I've had moments of ecstasy inside this body with another human. How freaking amazing is that? So we need to learn to balance up as we age our body's experience, our body's connection to us and what matters. And I think that is really, really important. Reframing this, and being honoring as our body ages, as it will, as it does, as our skin ages, our hair ages. My hair is now grey. It used to not be. I have fine lines and some not so fine lines, which I didn't used to have. The lines show the lived experience of my body. I have arthritis in my hand, it drives me bloody mental. But I learn how to take care of it and do things to support my body where it's been used so much, that there's some arthritis there. I nourish my body so that I can do as much as I possibly can with it. I'm looking at hiking for 20 miles. I want to go and do this massive hike. And so to be able to do this round trip of 20 miles, I have to really strengthen my body. And I go to the gym to do that. I do that because, I go to the gym because I'm 60 and I want to keep a strong, healthy body. So yeah, I think it's really important to reframe the way we see it. And that can be tricky. That's a transition in and of itself. Sending yourself flowers for Valentine's Day. I love that, Mary. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I will go and get flowers. You'll notice there are no flowers on my bookshelf here. If I can get, there you go. They usually sit there because the last bunch had got past their best day, and I'm going to go into the yard today. There's some beautiful sunflowers out there and some other flowers. So I'm going to go out into the yard today and collect some more flowers for my shelf because I've got some filming to do. today and tomorrow. And so I'll put some flowers on my shelf behind me. So yeah, buying yourself flowers or growing flowers, which I think is just such a gorgeous thing to do. I love having flowers in my yard. I just love the prettiness. And of course, they help all the bugs come to my yard and pollinate all my vegetables, which I really appreciate also. Let's have a see what's going on. If you have a question, pop it into the comments. More than happy to answer it. You can ask me anything about anything. Doesn't have to be about today's topic. You can ask me anything about anything. I'm okay, but just deciding what to buy myself. Yeah, Valentine's Day is one of those things. I've got 2 videos about Valentine's Day, you know, when you're having your first Valentine's Day post-separation and how that might feel, and when you might have been separated for a while and Valentine's Day is coming around. So they will be available on the week of Valentine's Day. So watch out for those on my channel, ladies. I just turned 60 and I've been on HRT for years now. Yeah, for me, I struggled. I didn't want to go on HRT. I really prefer a natural option if I can. I tried everything that I could that was naturally based, and it just didn't help enough. And I just found going through menopause to be, and give me a high five of you too, like menopause was so psychologically so incredibly mental. Like I've never felt like that in my life. I've never had such massive mood swings, high highs, low lows, just feeling at war with the world, feeling out of touch from myself. Menopause was hardcore and really distressing. It took me about 5 or 6 years, maybe a bit longer, to get through menopause. I went all the way through and was fully in menopause before I'd had my last period, and it was over a year. And when I just went, I'm done. Like I need HRT. Like I can't do this for the rest of my life. And I went on HRT, and I've gradually added things into my HRT, and I'm hoping to add one more thing, vaginal estrogen. I'm hoping that on my next visit that I will get some vaginal estrogen just to manage the desert that is down there. So yeah, for me, that has worked. I know people do different things, and it's all about doing what's right for you, whether you need to go on HRT early because maybe you went into menopause early because of a medical thing. Maybe you were just really unlucky and you did it early. Maybe you've gone a long way, like perimenopause and menopause can go on for 10 years, maybe even more for some women, and it's just brutal. But whatever works for you is what I say, whether you do it naturally, whether you do it with help. I think whatever works for you, nobody's business except for yours. Judy, you can name them all. There's dozens. Have finally started treatment, which I'm choosing to focus on 1 or 2 at a time. Yeah, nice. More manageable at 1 or 2 at a time for sure. Oh God, hips and sciatic pain. You can do a lot about sciatic pain, by the way. There's a lot of mobility things you can do about sciatic pain. But yeah, and I have found as I've gotten older, Judy, that I have got to do a lot more work on my hips. So when I go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, and I actively work on my hips and my hip flexion to make sure that I can keep things moving in that area. Carol, it's a prick. It sure is, love. Menopause is a prick. It's true. Cersei, we definitely shouldn't suffer. My hormones are at the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, and I think that's right. Suffering is definitely not something we want to do. If anybody has a question for me, pop it into the comments. I don't see any questions yet. If you have a question, pop it in. I'm more than happy to answer it. If you want to reflect on what I said earlier, you're more than happy to do that. I'm making some changes to my channel, which I'll talk about in a second. So for me, my channel is going to change a little, not dramatically, but there are some changes that I'm making to the channel because it seems like the right evolution, I guess, for me. It just seems like this is the right place for me to go. And yeah, everything for me is about evolution, right? It's all about evolution and understanding how my work changes on the regular, which it does. My life really, and my work has changed it over and over and over the years. And I could really sense yesterday, this is why yesterday was really a bit challenging, because yesterday my thoughts were around, well, why is this working? Why isn't this working? And it was coming to a breakthrough for me. So I didn't know that at the time, but I was about to have a really big breakthrough in my work. And that was just, when it finally landed, I was like, fuck, that's so good. I'm so glad. Because I was struggling. I was really, really struggling. Hang on a second. And I'm trying to remember something that I can't remember. And I can't remember what it is. Let me have a quick squiz of what I'm doing. Here we go. I'll do it here. Right, let's see if I can find it, because sometimes I just lose it, and I lost it just then. I was trying to tell you about my 4Bs. My 4Bs. So that was what yesterday was about for me. It was really about it was about me working through a process and coming to a place of going, yeah, this is what this is all about. So the struggle yesterday that I was having was really about understanding how my work had changed. So looking at my work really now is about how our bodies in midlife really change. The pain we have, the fatigue we feel, perimenopause, menopause, sleep, stress, illness, how our nervous system responds. And I can see my shifting towards that. You lot tell me more about that stuff. About things like belonging, where women are talking about loneliness with me and estrangement and feeling left by kids, left by partners, left by parents who have passed away. Maybe not fitting in anymore, or losing who we are, or maybe not even knowing who we are anymore. Boundaries, overgiving, guilt, people pleasing, feeling used by people, not knowing how to say no to people, and to encapsulate all of that with ladies who come to my channel about who are you now, what's your purpose, do you feel good in your own skin, what's your future looking like. So for me, that really is where my channel is going now. It's going to really encompass all of that, that 40 onwards, 45 onwards, where our physical life changes, our roles change, people are coming and going now, parents, adult children. And so I really want to start looking at those things in a more constructive kind of way. And I'm excited about this new line of movement for me. We're still talking about, partners leaving, because that tends to be the catalyst, right? Is that a relationship ends and suddenly we are forced into a situation of a reassessment. And I'd love to know from you guys, when your relationships ended, what happened next? Like, how did your world just go out of control, and all of a sudden it was all the fours were happening? Your body wasn't working, boundaries weren't there, you didn't know where you belonged anymore. How did you feel about those moments? And those questions about belonging. Who am I now? Who am I becoming now? I'd love to know, if you want to share it with me, of course, how that was for you, or is for you right now, and where maybe there are holes in that for you still post relationship end. So yeah, if you want to share that with me, I'd love to know about it. I still get them. Oh, your hormones adjusted, get blood work done. Yeah. I love the shorts with the scrolling words. You have my seal of approval. Thank you so much for that. Carol looks at all of my shorts and gives me feedback, because shorts are challenging for me, but I'm working on them. My longer form is changing again. I evolve as I do more and more of these things. This is me learning my craft in a very different way, and that's something I have to learn. Lives I find incredibly easy to do because you're here and I'm talking to you, and that's what I love about my work, is really connecting with you, learning about your story, learning about the things that you struggle with, wanting to help and guide you. Those things I find effortless, because we're together, right? And that connection is really real and honest and good, and so it feels really beautiful to work in this way. But when I'm doing videos, I struggle with that because you're not with me. And the important ingredient is always you. You are the purpose. You tell me what you need, and I listen to you, and I make stories up around your world, and I can reach in and say, hey, what about this? What about that? So I'm having to learn in real time how to do that when you are not sitting beside me. And that's hard. Like, that is really hard, because I came into this work because I love working with women, because I love being in your story, walking beside you and guiding you and helping you to see things that maybe you can't see just yet. I love doing that. So when you're not with me, it doesn't feel purposeful. It doesn't feel like it sits well with me. And so I'm having to learn to bring you with me when I do videos without you. I have to learn to bring you and sit you with me, so that I can see you and hear you and feel you like I would here on a live. It's a challenge, and I'm learning about it, which is why, breakthroughs like yesterday are really important, because they help me understand what is missing and why it's not working for me. So yeah, challenging, but we all have challenges, right? Hello, Sarah, you got a question. So I've been having a lot of issues with my grandpa being disrespectful. I have spoken up and told him I won't put up with it. What else can I do? I'm at the point where I just completely leave. Here's the thing, your grandpa is old. Your grandpa came up in a generation that believes an awful lot of stuff, and he's too old to change, love. He's too old to change. He just is. So you have two choices here. You can make allowances for your grandpa being your grandpa and know that nothing you say or do is going to change him because he is stuck where he is. Or you can say, I can do my grandpa for 10 minutes, half an hour, once a week, once a month, whatever. And that's as much as I can do a grandpa. You get to choose that part, but he is who he is and you can't change who he is. You know what I mean? So this is where you have to decide. He isn't changing. He's not changing. That's acceptance, right? That is, this is who this man is. No amount of what you say or do is going to change that. No matter how much you set a boundary or no matter how much you try and explain to him, he is going to stay him because he's old and he doesn't know how to change. So it's just really important for you to go, grandpa's not changing. Now, based on grandpa not changing, I have to look at, right, if grandpa's not changing, do I still want to spend time with him? How do I want to spend time with him? What's going to work for me? Sometimes that means topics that you just don't touch with him, heading him off at the pass if he brings up something that you know is going to be upsetting, changing the subject. Is it coming in, having a cuppa, letting him talk, knowing it's going to be challenging and then leaving? You have to find a way of being able to be there if that's what you want. So first things first, you got to work out, is that what I want or not? And then when you work out if that's what I want, if this is important to me because he's old and I'm going to lose him soon, then if that's important to me, how am I going to be in this situation so that I can still be in integrity with myself? I don't come out of this feeling bad about myself or hurt or upset or whatever it is that happens in that exchange with him. And that's something you've got to look at and be real with yourself. But I'm here to tell you, he isn't changing. He's elderly. He doesn't have the capacity probably and will not be changing. He is who he is, lovely. Jessie, I'm about a month into it after 3 years. I feel angry and betrayed. I have a lot of stories going on in my mind. Weekends are the hardest. And I think slowing down after relationships end. So the times that are really tricky are the times when you would normally spend with a partner, right? So that is after everybody's gone to bed and it's quiet. That is weekends when people are busy and you're not doing something with them. Holiday times can be really challenging. Special celebration days can be really challenging. And we have to know on those occasions, what's the plan? First of all, we have to make space for the feelings. So we have to make space for and know that, hey, maybe I'll do some writing, maybe I'll process, maybe I'll do some drawing, maybe I'll do some coloring, maybe I'll do some venting, maybe I'll go beat the heck out of my bed and have a good scream and yell and punch the pillow and let some of the anger out. And then maybe what I'll do is do something purposeful now. Maybe I'll go and tidy up the house. Maybe I'll go for a walk. Maybe I'll do some yard work. I always do yard work. That is my go-to for everything. It really is. And that's where we go through it, right? So just really important to have a plan for it. When it is really tricky. In my store, Stacey, at the top of my page, there is a survival guide that has some really pragmatic, easy things to do that you can use post-separation to just really help you through those really intense and difficult moments. So if you're looking for some extra strategies to try, that booklet, Surviving After He Left, is a really good booklet that has a lot of good strategies in it if you're looking for something to help you out. Hello, Rose, my darling. How are you? Your sleep is the first to go. So painful. Once upon a long time ago. Yeah, sleep is challenging. Sleep is very challenging. Who struggles with sleep? Give me a high five if you struggle with sleep. I think as we get into midlife, sleep can be a really big challenge. I try so because I don't function well if I don't sleep. Do you know what I mean? I'm not good at not getting 8 hours. Like I just need 8 hours to function. My partner can do 3 or 4 hours and function perfectly fine, which is, I just cannot do that. So for me, sleep is really important. And I really work hard on making sure that I have good sleep hygiene It's just so important to me. Sleep is just like a non-negotiable. So I try super hard to make sure I get very, very, very good sleep. And there's all sorts of things that mess with your sleep. So having good sleep hygiene is essential. If you're a member of mine and you want to talk about sleep hygiene more, you can ask me that on the next coaching call, which is sometime the end of this week. I think you girls will probably know better than me, because I'm seeing a lot of hands up from my members who are telling me, yep, you know what, sleep is the hardest. Hormones definitely help with my sleep, but being in anxiety doesn't shut off my thinking. Yeah. And I think, you know, again, the hormone levels change during the night, and that can disrupt your sleep. Drinking alcohol can, you know, one glass might put you off to sleep, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 glasses are going to disrupt your sleep during the night. So you might fall asleep, but you might wake up hot and sweaty and distressed. So, and there's lots of things can break our sleep. It might be that we can't fall asleep because as you're saying, you know, Stacey, you're anxious, you've got a lot of thoughts going on. So we might not be able to fall asleep. Sometimes we fall asleep well, but we wake up during the night, and then we, you know, maybe we'll have to go to the loo, and so we're not, that disrupts your sleep coming back to bed. You might find it hard to stop off again, or you wake up super early, and that really means then you can't go back to sleep, which is what happened to me this morning. I woke up really early and couldn't go back to sleep, which was a bit of a nuisance. But anyway, so yeah, like sleep can be disrupted for all sorts of reasons in all sorts of ways. If you have a question for me, pop it into the comments now. If you don't have a question for me, that's fine. Love you for coming anyway. As I said, my channel is changing, not dramatically, more attuned to you, because that is the purpose for me, is to be more attuned to you and what your needs are, and that's what I want to do. If you find my channel helpful, I would appreciate beyond anything you liking, sharing, and subscribing anything that I do. You can click the link of any of my videos if you think they're helpful, and put that video link onto your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your TikToks. You can send them as emails to your friends, and people will see my videos, and I would really appreciate that. I have done one recently about menopause and midlife, and when they collide, when a partner leaves during menopause, perimenopause. You can go to my channel, find that, and share it. I'd love you to watch it. It's a really interesting video. And one that I did just recently, which was on Friday, which was about, you know, midlife, and, you know, your relationship ends, and then you also have issues with your adult kids where maybe they're saying, I'm over it, Mum, I'm not talking to you anymore. And I'm doing more in both of those series in the coming months. So do check out my channel. There are new videos every Tuesday and every Friday. My Tuesday, my Friday, depending on you around the world. A lot of you are American and Canadian. So for you, that would be on Sunday and on Thursday. On Monday and on Thursday, my videos come out. I do a live Q&A every single week. So this week it's Monday, which is my Monday at 11 a.m. And the next week it will be on my Thursday at 8-ish a.m. So if you are ever looking for support or guidance, if you have questions that you want me to help you answer, to give you an idea of who I am. So I am a 60-year-old woman who's been doing this for 2 decades now. I help women globally in my membership who are struggling post-separation. So a relationship has ended, and women are now struggling with midlife and separation at the same time. I also have a couple women who come and see me because I made the mistake yesterday. So my apologies, my deep apologies to one of my beautiful members who I really adore, Joe. I really apologize. So Joe is in a same-sex relationship, and of course, same-sex women who are in same-sex relationships are absolutely welcome in my membership. I generally use language of he when I do my stuff online, because the majority of my women are in heterosexual relationships, but I do have women in same-sex relationships, and I felt really bad yesterday. Them is more appropriate, but sometimes it slips my mind. I'm only human. I sometimes do that. And because the vast majority of my women are in heterosexual relationships, he is often what I use, which I just need to be a bit mindful of that. So my apologies, Joe. I do apologize. I know that that was something that was, you noticed. So thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate it. So yeah, I have a university degree. I studied for 6 years. I had post-grad stuff I had to do. I've done a lot of training since then, and I bring all of that into my work. I also run a global membership. I had an online workshop that I did for quite a long time, nearly 10 years, Heartbreak to Healing, where literally over 100,000 women attended those workshops, helping women post-separation. So yeah, that's who I am if you're ever wondering who I am. I like to lead with research and finding information that is factually accurate, but I do that with a sense of humor. I do that with pragmatic, down to earth, north of England kind of who I am. Advice. So you won't find psychobabble with me. You won't find pop psychology with me. You will find a very down to earth, very, very, very blunt kind of woman who tries to tell it like it is in a loving, compassionate, kind of way, but is very direct. Anybody who knows me knows that. So let's have a see what is going on in the comments. Lots of hands up for the sleep issues. Saturday 8:30 your time, Friday night 10:30 my time. So that must be when my next membership call is, because Carol has told me that. So for my members, I'll see you on Zoom, because we go into Zoom so I can see you and you can see me, because I actually enjoy seeing my beautiful ladies' faces and spending time with them and talking to them about all things that matter. So for my members, I'll see you on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. 8:30 a.m. my time, and that will be 7:30 p.m. for those lovely people over in the UK and in Ireland. Right, what was I going to say? If you've got any questions, pop them in. If you've got any questions, pop them in. If you've got any comments, pop them in. After I finish this, I've got to go and finish a big bag of lychees. So my next door neighbour over the weekend, I made him an orange and almond cake, which I didn't know he loved, but he really loves. So I made him one of those because he's a really nice fellow and he really helps us out a lot. So I made him a cake, and he then produced, I think it was about 10 or 15 kilos of lychees. I love lychees, but if you've ever tried to peel 10 or 15 kilos of lychees, it hurts your fingers. So I've been doing them in batches. So I'm going to go finish off a couple more batches and preserve those, because I want to keep them. I'm going to can them to make lassi. So I don't know if any of you have ever had a drink called lassi. It's delicious. You find lassi drinks in Asian countries. So it is a lime or lemon yogurt drink with lychee, and it is just scrumdiddlyumptious. I made some yogurt over the weekend, so I've got some fresh yogurt there, and I've got some lychee, so I'm going to make myself some lassi and probably send over my lovely neighbours some lassi when they get home from work, and the rest will all be canned and put into my cupboard so that I can preserve them and keep them for the next 6-12 months if they last that long. I did a lot of preserving over the last couple of days. I did a ton of bone broth. I did all my beans that I had grown. I know my beans, I was so excited. I grew so much beans. I made 2 cans. 2 cans of beans, but it's better than no cans of beans. And I kept some seeds for next season. So I've got some beans that I grew this year. My garlic is going out very soon. It's still a bit too hot. I'll wait another couple of weeks before my garlic goes in, but the bed is all ready. I'm going to give it a mix today and then resettle it again. I've got to go around my fruit trees and clear the grass and stuff away from them, put down some cardboard and put down some mulch. So I will make some mulch today. I've got to go and get some branches and things from the yard and any that I can find lying around, and I'll just chip those up to put around my trees. And across the street, they did their lawn this morning. The gardener came and did their lawn, and I noticed a ton of leaves. So I'm going to take a bucket over there and fill up my bucket full of leaves to go into my garden, because leaves are good for the compost. So that's what I've got planned, along with I've got to do videoing today, finished off some scripts that I'm doing today. And girls, who loves Motown? Who loves Motown music? So because I've turned 60 and because I am really keen to start doing some things that bring me joy, because I've been busy for the last 2.5 years just bloody renovating, I noticed that the legends of Motown music are coming to my area, not far from where I live, and I love Motown music. And so I'm booking tickets to go to that on the 21st of February. That is my gift to myself for Valentine's Day. I'm going to go and watch that because I love Motown music so much. And it's that'll be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to go do that. I love singing at shows. So I'm doing that. I'm from Michigan, outside of Detroit. Michigan, hello. I didn't know you were from Michigan, my darling. I didn't know that. So Miss Mary, I didn't know you were from Michigan. So there you go. So yeah. And I'm excited. Motown is going to be so much fun. I love music. I love it. So yeah, I'm keen to do that. So I don't know what you lot are up to. I hope you have some nice plans for this week as we begin the first week of February. I hope you have plans that are going to nurture you and take care of you and fill your bucket up. My garden fills up my bucket. Music fills up my bucket. Cooking fills up my bucket. Bucket. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And for those who are interested, which is not people who don't know me well, I finally mastered my fluffy raisin buns. Oh my glorious days. Girls, I've done it, and the way I did it was Japanese style. So I used the Japanese method to make them light and fluffy, used myself a plain flour, all-purpose flour instead of the bread flour, and my glorious days, I now have my ciabatta recipe done and looks gorgeous and is working wonderfully. I now have my raisin buns working gorgeously, absolutely gorgeously, those I'll use as my buns for making breakfast rolls and things like that. So that is amazing too. So those are some of my goals for this year. So I'm getting through my goals. You grew up listening to the Stylistics. Me too, Mary. Give me a couple of bands, girls. Oh, Carol, that was Carol, not Mary, sorry. So some of the ones that are coming up are Aretha Franklin's songs will be in that. The Stylistics will be in that. Marvin Gaye is going to be in the Motown music. Who else is going to be playing? Who else, girls? Tell me some of your legends. So I am so excited. The Supremes, yes, the Supremes, they're doing some Supreme songs. So I love Motown. Love, 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 love it. So yeah, it's going to be so much fun. And I know it's an American group that have come over, so I'm excited to listen to this bunch of gorgeous humans singing. It's going to be that much fun. And I'm booking my tickets. I've got them sat there waiting to be just pressed the purchase. I'm going to do it so I get in and get to see it. It'll be much fun. All right, my loves. Any comments and questions, hit them now before I head off, because I'm going to head off. Hot cross buns. Yeah, well, Carol, and I was saying this to the little boys who came to visit me with mum and dad on Friday or Saturday night, and they were sitting on the deck, and the little fella, I said, they're hot cross buns without the cross. And they were like, why? And I was like, well, the cross doesn't taste good. And they were like, why? And Dad, who is a baker, he's like, the hot cross bun doesn't taste of, the cross on the top of the bun doesn't taste of anything. It's usually a bit pasty because he's been a baker and he knows. But they're so delicious. They're light. They're not sweet. So the thing I've noticed is they're not sweet, and I probably would like a bit more sweetness. So I'm going to add a bit of cinnamon to them and more raisins and fold it in a bit. Cool in the gang. Yes, cool in the gang. Look at us all. The Temptations, they're doing some Temptations numbers. I know that. So yeah, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. I am really, really, really looking forward to it. And my buns freeze well, just in case anybody was wondering. My buns freeze well. And what I might do is I might incorporate a little bit of sugar on top of it. I'll see how it goes. They do get really brown on top, so I have to be a bit careful with that because my oven. They had to replace my oven because it didn't work. I've got a Smeg. I love Smeg. Smeg's one of my favourite brands in the world. But this bloody oven, this is the third time that they have changed my oven because of issues with it. So anyway, now it's hot. It's running hot. So I have to be mindful. If I don't, like with my orange cake, I reduced the temperature and it just didn't cook in the centre. So then I had to leave it in, and it was all sorts of problems there. With my buns, I didn't reduce the temperature because of my orange cake, and then the top of my buns got so brown. So I've just got to find a middle. Marvin Gaye and the Commodores. Yep. All very good. I'm excited. Yes, more cinnamon. I'm going to do cinnamon, and I'm going to do maybe a bit more sugar. I'll see how it goes. I don't like sweet buns, but in a sweet bun, it's nice if they're a bit sweeter, and I don't want to mess with the ratios. Now that I've worked out the Japanese way of making really good, fluffy, light bread, it's just yum-delicious. I'm limiting myself to one a day because anybody who knows me knows that I can go past one really easy. Easy. All right, I think that's it. I think we're done for today. You've all sort of hung around and listened to me rabbiting on. So I've got a list of to-dos, and I'm going to get on with them today. I want to thank you for coming and spending time with me. I know you could be anywhere at all in the world, and I'm grateful that you're here with me. I appreciate that you come and join me, and I appreciate that you participate in this. It really is why I do this work. Without you, it doesn't even work at all. I need you because without you, it kind of feels very meaningless. If you feel compelled to, which I encourage you to be compelled to, please do share links to my stuff. Just go to my channel. You can click, there's a little button there that says share. If you click that and go to your channel and just pop it on and say, hey, she talked about this today, or hey, this is interesting, or you might find this interesting. That really, really, really helps my channel out. Right now, I'm in that really tricky stage with YouTube where it says, hey, your stuff's not too bad, but we're not showing it to a lot of people because not a lot of people are watching it. So the more people that watch it, the more people that stay watching it till the end, the more people that like it, share it, and comment on it, the more YouTube goes, oh, people are interested in this, we'll show it to some more people. And that's how I get in front of more women. So if you ever feel compelled to help me out, then that would be an absolutely fantastic way for you to do that for me, is just to share those links on your social media pages. You know, if you're in groups where women are talking about the stuff I talk about, if you are on your page and you share with your friends, you don't have to say anything else other than I saw this, you know what I mean? And it just really, really helps me so much. Can you cover in tin foil for a while? I do. That's exactly what I do, Carol. I cover it in tin foil for a while. And I do then wait till I cool, separate them and freeze them so that I don't eat them all at once, which, you know, as any of you know, I have lost 18 kilos and I have a few more kilos I'd like to lose. So I'm trying not to eat too many buns because, you know, I do enjoy one from time to time. Most days I have one. All right, my darlings, I'm going to head off. All right. Take the best care of yourself. Have a wonderful week. To my members, I will see you later in the week on our coaching call. To those women who I said, hey, bring those questions to the coaching call, I would love you to do that. I'm encouraging members now to do that from these calls so that I can go more in depth with you, answer your very personal questions, give you strategies that you can utilize during your week. So yeah, please do come and bring those questions to our call. All right, my darlings, take the very best care of you. I will see you again live here on my channel next week. I will post the link for that towards the end of this week because it's going to be Thursday next week is my next live call. Take care, everybody. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye, everyone.